Welcome to Planet Marzipan Podcast,
your fish and Marillion podcast,
where we talk about all things in the planet of Marillion and fish. I'm Meza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello, and welcome to Planet Marzipan, charting a single. We haven't done this for a while.
It's been a while.
It has, hasn't it? I'm here, I'm Meza, I'm here with my good friend,
Craig.
Back to Craig.
Face drying out.
Well, needs to. Moist all the time, I find.
I don't need that image.
We have some guests with us. We have returning guests in Grae Tennick.
Evening, how you doing?
Hi, good mate, you?
I'm doing well, yeah.
And we have Mikie Kay back.
Hi guys, thanks for having me again.
Hi Mikie, good to see you. And we
It's
have
almost like
it's
almost like an episode of Planet Music, isn't it?
It is. We have a newbie on the pod. We welcome Neil McChrystal.
Evening all. Thanks for inviting me.
Hi Neil, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Neil's going to tell you about all his credentials and why he's should be here in the main episode that will follow this one, where we talk about Thieving Magpie. But as you can see from the title of this episode, we're here to talk about the Freaks live single. Ooh, yes.
Or unless you're in Dutchland, and it was the Kayleigh live single.
Look, he's off already.
Their pressing of it was the other way around.
Only in 1989.
89, yeah, it was the 89 release, yeah. Yeah, so they had to kind of change the single cover a bit to accommodate that. It looks a bit cut and paste.
Well, we'll do the Wikipedia entry that we always do. The single was released on the 14th of November 1988, and the Wikipedia entry says Freaks is a song by British neo-prog band Marillion, first released in 1985 on the B-side to the number 5 UK hit single Lavender. In November 1988, it was released in a live version on a double A-sided single together with the band's 1985 number 2 hit Kayleigh. The single was intended to promote the forthcoming double live album The Thieving Magpie, which documents the band's history with singer Fish, who had left the band in October 1988. More on this in another episode soon. As such, this was Marillion's last single to feature Fish on vocals and cover art by Mark Wilkinson, who would go on to collaborate with Fish. It's a double A side on the 7-inch, but it's a 4-track EP on a 12-inch versions, isn't it?
And the CD single, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got Childhood's End and White Feather as the additional tracks on the CD single and on the 12-inch. And
Which I suppose
also, yeah, because those two tracks, Childhood's End and White Feather, aren't actually on the vinyl album.
That's what I
No.
was going to say. So if you're buying vinyl at the time, that was the only way to get the whole album, wasn't it? The whole Misplaced Childhood album.
Well, you
But it's
didn't
not
get
even the whole,
you only get those
it's just the last
tracks.
song.
No, if you bought the album and that, then you got the whole thing. And it was the only way to do it.
No.
Yeah, you were still missing a bit.
You're still missing a fair chunk. You've got 2 out of 5, yeah. Of side 2.
Yep, that's right. Sorry.
What do we think about? I mean, there's no video around this, is there? Was there a
No,
video?
there's nothing at all. Nah. So
I mean, what do you think
Just-
about Freaks as an A side to begin with?
it's a great song.
Great song, and it was good that they gave it the treatment of that. I think it was a good choice to, if you're going to use something to promote the live albums, that was a really great choice, a single to use. I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, and also the recording quality of it for a live track, for all of it, it sounds really good and crisp, and they've picked a really good version of it. Same with the Kayleigh on the B side, it sounds great.
Well, Freaks was recorded at Mannheim on the tour with Queen, wasn't it? In 21st of June 1986.
Ooh.
I mean, the song itself is one of my favourite. Do we call it a deep cut? I suppose one of the deep cuts.
Yeah.
The sort of the fish period Marillion, and it. I think I posted this previously. It's the only Marillion song I've ever played live. And strangely, it's also the only time I was in a band as a guitarist and not as a singer, and I played the guitar part. But I loved it. It was a fantastic song.
You should have told us that earlier. You could do it at the end of this.
I did struggle to remember it, to be honest with you.
Mikie, what do you think of this version?
I actually really like it. I do have a bone to pick with the version of Kayleigh, though. I think Fisher's vocals aren't that strong on it. Yet, when we talk about the album, I'll go into that in a bit more depth. But I think it just doesn't have the clout. Now, I know when they were recording, the recordings that were put forward for Thieving Magpie were recorded over 2 nights, weren't they? So I've just got a funny feeling that the version that they've got on this side of the single was probably the best that they had, but I still don't think Fish quite hits it home. I think it feels a bit weak in parts, which is a shame because I think the band's really tight.
Yeah. I think we'll talk about it more when we do the album, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
I played it back again today, and the difference in the sonic quality of the stuff that's on CD1 compared with the Hammersmith Odeon Misplaced is massive. I mean,
huge.
They did record some overdubs for this for some of the tracks on this album.
Some.
Well, I don't think Misplaced got the treatment that the other tracks got, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I think they probably ran out of time because they turned it around very quickly.
Yeah, because it needed to be out in a window, didn't it, really? It just before the big Christmas sales and stuff.
Well, Fish didn't officially resign from the band till September.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty sharp turnaround.
It's interesting that Craig mentions about the sonic quality of it, because I've noticed between listening to this today and listening to the album as well, there is, how do I put it? I think there's a girth, there's a depth to the sound of the whole band. I mean, Rother's sound is really, really good.
Can you just say the word girth again?
I did.
Can you say it again?
Girth.
Just like you did.
Girth.
Girth.
Sorry.
Come on, guys.
No, I like it. I like it.
I'm girthy, they're good.
There's a depth to the sound, and it's interesting because I've always said more recently there's something about Rother's sound that I struggle with, and listening to this, I'm like, yeah, there's a heft to it. There you go, change it. Like there's a which
is it a girthy heft?
A girthy heft, yeah.
There's a title of an episode if I ever heard one. I've got really fond memories of the single. I mean, it was a pretty upsetting time, as we'll talk about more in the other episode. But the look of the, I mean, even though the artwork's not, it's got the jester and the clouds, but it still fits with the legacy of Marillion for me, of early Marillion.
Yeah,
it looks the part,
and it's quite brave to release a live single because you don't get them very often. I mean, you get some like go like really, really big. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me by Elton John and George Michael is one of the only ones where you can think a live singles they blew the charts off. But and for it to get to number 24, considering there's nothing new on it.
Well, I think EMI knew what they were doing because Freaks isn't on the vinyl either. So 3 out of the 4 tracks on this 12-inch EP aren't on the vinyl album.
Yeah, very clever.
That's the first time I've actually noticed that, Meza. I just could have sworn blind it was, and you're right, it's not.
No.
There you are. See, I'm learning tonight. Fantastic. I'm learning about records I've owned for 30 years.
Well, that's it. And looked after lovingly, I know. But yeah, I mean, the tracks, the 2 Misplaced tracks, Childhood's End and White Feather, are good enough versions. I think now, looking at it with hindsight, we may have slightly better versions in some of the archive stuff that's come out.
So I was going to just talk about that later on, I think.
Yeah, but I'm just, I mean, if you're saying the Kayleigh vocals aren't so strong, well, by the time you get to the end of the album, they're even less strong, aren't they?
Yeah.
If this single had came out a couple of years later, what they would have done, they would have actually done like the multiple CD single thing, so they would have actually probably spread the whole of side 2 over a couple of CD singles and a couple of 12 inches.
Yeah.
But I mean, because they did that with Dry Land, didn't they? With
Yeah, I was going to say a la Dry Land, yeah.
yeah. So they had form later on for it.
Should we talk formats? Just start with the UK formats.
We had a 7-inch single, a 7-inch cut-shaped picture disc, a 12-inch single, and CD single. So the Freaks and Kayleigh, obviously on the 7-inch, and on the 12-inch you had Freaks and Kayleigh and White Feather and Childhood's End.
And it was a dual case CD single, wasn't it, Craig?
It was a dual case, yeah, because when they'd released the singles from Clutching at Straws, they'd been in cardboard sleeves, and this is where they jumped over to dual case.
But there is a version of it in the singles box set as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
The card sleeve.
There is, yeah, which is just a replication of the 12-inch single, really. Still good, still good.
Have you got your singles there, Craig? Your vinyls?
I do indeed.
What's the back of the picture disc? What's the inner sort of image?
Inner image of the picture disc. Yeah.
Is it just the sky?
It's just the back cover.
No, I meant on because it comes with a backing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it comes with a backing, and you've got on the back. It's just plain sky. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's plain sky. Yeah. Don't think this has actually been out of its sleeve in 30 years.
No.
To be fair, it's the plain sky that I've got on my shelf visible, because I think the other side just looks messy, to be completely honest with you.
What with the?
But yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't want a picture of the band on when there's this glorious jester going on. It's a fabulous image, isn't it, though?
It's a great image, but he's falling over, isn't he, when you put him in the sleeve? He's kind of heading towards the floor.
He's a bit
He's
pissed.
kind of poking his way out of the bottom of my PVC sleeve at the minute.
Well, that says more about you than anything else, Mikey.
That's another golden quote for this episode.
It is. Yeah.
So when it was released, it came in. It was in the charts for 5 weeks, which isn't too bad for it. Came in at 24, dropped to 29, 60, 85, and then went up to 80, then out. So on the run up to Christmas in a November chart, I don't think that's too bad.
It's not bad.
Wait, you've got it slightly wrong there, Craig.
Come on then.
The 85 and the 80 were a re-entry. It actually dropped out the charts for a week.
Oh,
So, actually dropped out the charts for nearly 3 weeks. So is it possible that the German release was bought on import and actually got it back into the charts? Or is it just a freak coincidence that it came recharted 3 weeks later?
You mean the Dutch release?
Was it
yeah,
Dutch,
the
was
Dutch.
it?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
Dutch, but that
was-
wasn't till January.
It's just the two sides flip.
Right,
really.
right.
I think what probably happened is anybody who bought the vinyl at the time when they got
Went
Thieving
back and bought the
Magpie,
single.
they went
Yeah.
back and bought the single because they wanted the extra tracks.
Yeah, because it dropped out of the charts on the 10th of December and it re-entered on the 31st of December and stayed there until the 7th of January.
So people got Thieving Magpie off their granny for Christmas, realised that they had some songs missing, so they nipped out the January sales to get a bargain.
Yeah, I don't have bloody freaks. The reason why I bought it is not on the bloody album. Yeah.
Yeah, shit like that happens.
The producers are credited as Marillion and Privet Hedge. But I understand from Mr. Kelly's book and from John Collins' book that your Genesis man was responsible for the overdubs. And I can't think of his name, which is why I'm looking in the book.
So basically, they didn't want to advertise that there was overdubs. So it's a case like, yeah, have
well, no, they wouldn't advertise it. Nick Davis engineered the overdubs.
All right, so I think this might have helped them towards he's getting the job on Season's End.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anything else we can say about this? Because we've lots to say about the album, I'm sure.
Well, I'm sure Mikey wants to dive into what was going on in the charts.
It's very eclectic.
There's
There's too many placings above it, so I'll just give you the other new entries when it first went in at 24.
Oh, I think I'd do the top 7 if I was you, because I think it's
Oh
quite
well,
interesting.
I'll do the new entries first, running up to number 10, which were Rick Astley's "Take Me to Your Heart," Phil Collins' "Two Hearts," Michael Jackson's "Smooth Criminal," and in at number 7 was Pet Shop Boys with "Left to My Own Devices."
That's
Number
why I said
one
number
that
7,
week,
isn't it?
yeah, number 1 that week was "First Time" by Robin Beck. But literally, you've got in the top 10, you've got Iron Maiden, Krista Berg, In Excess, Salt and Pepper. It's literally all over the place. But I think there was a lot of that going on at this time. A lot of rock and a lot of pop. Strong acts fighting for chart placements. There's something for everybody in there, it really is, and it's equally so when it comes to the album charts, which we'll discuss when we talk about Thieving.
One thing I found a bit interesting in the week's chart where it came in number 24 is the Proclaimers' "Sunshine on Leith" reached its peak chart position in that week. Now, considering how popular that song is and how it's got the whole musical thing, how big the whole thing around it is, it
Hasn't
peaked
that taken on a life of its own
afterwards. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's odd because it peaked at 41, and it's just had a whole life of its own. 30 years later.
Yeah.
I think for Marillion to get at 24 for a live single was actually quite an achievement. And to be fair, that was their highest chart position for quite a few years, and it doesn't break form until we get to Sympathy. So, quite a few people have bought it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anything else to say on the Freaks and Kayleigh live single, guys?
It's
Nope.
a cracking little single.
That's that then. Stay tuned to this channel for another episode very soon about the Thieving Magpie. But for this episode, it's good night from Mikie Kay.
Good night. See you soon.
Good night from Neil McChrystal.
Good night, all.
Good night from Grae Tennick.
Good night.
And good night from Faye Gouston.
I'll be back in 2 minutes on the next episode.
I'll see thee. That's it. Not doing any more.
Take care and stay alive.
Nope. See thee.
Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot for all the good stuff.